Hello, my fellow popsicles, and welcome to another exciting adventure of Fundamentals of Engineering Design. In this jam-packed episode, you will see highlights of my backside as I write on this whiteboard. Hello and welcome to Monday. It's friggin' cold out there. Which I almost put on gloves today. It was that cold. Yeah. I tend to be very warm, just in general, so this type of weather usually doesn't faze me, but this is too cold for me. It's certainly too cold for my car, and I worry about travel, so yeah. I will be, just an FYI, for those of you in the Tuesday section, I'm going to basically be holding a Zoom session tomorrow during class. Because quite frankly, I'm not going to be on campus, and I don't expect any of you to be walking around on campus more than you need to be. It's not healthy to be outside at this point. So stay inside, stay warm, be sure to ask for help if you need it. I do care about all of you as much as I enjoy tormenting you with lecture videos and high expectations of work ethic and work quality. I do care about all of you, and it's important to me that you survive this friggin' cold weather. So let's just make it through. We'll power through. We'll be stronger because of it. I like to see hardship as opportunity in disguise. And this is an opportunity for you to get used to cold weather, because you know what? Weather isn't always nice. That's what I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. It's hard to put it on when you look outside and you're like, -9? Went the wrong direction, thermometer. Okay. Now, I did adjust the reading assignments that are due. There was supposed to be a reading assignment due this week. Over Chapter 5. We aren't going to be getting into Chapter 5 for another 2 weeks, and we're not going to be getting to Chapter 6 for another, 4 weeks. So your reading assignments have been pushed back a bit. So you won't have a reading assignment due this week. You will have another AutoCAD modeling learning assignment that is due this week, modeling learning quiz. I will post that this week, and so you can get started on it. What we're going to be talking about today is the idea of project management. Okay, so last week we talked about how roles are necessary for every design project, every exhibition. This week, what we're highlighting specifically is the tasks that have to be done in order to accomplish project management. Project management is not a small piece. It is often said that a lot of the work that engineers do isn't real engineering. That's kind of true, because a lot of the work that engineers are required to do is project management. And this is something that a lot of schools do not prepare their engineers to be able to do, is the project management aspect. Project management is a gigantic term that encompasses a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of content. And we're going to do our best to teach it in pieces. I will be requiring proper project management for Project 2 for this class. As I said, we're going to be focusing primarily on on making project one be nice, and learning the AutoCAD, and learning the fundamentals of professionalism, and working on a project with a partner. That's all good and well, but that's preliminary. Project management is above and beyond. It's how do you start a project? How do you maintain a project? And then how do you finish a project? For a lot of students, starting a project is easy. You know, I can start remodeling my bathroom just fine. I can just take a sledgehammer to my toilet, like, bam! Project started! But then how do I manage it? Which means, okay, now that my toilet has been shattered, how am I going to expel my business? How am I going to find a porcelain throne on which to reign? Because I used a sledgehammer and I shattered it. I have to have a contingency plan, which means if I'm going to start shattering that toilet, I better have a porta potty in my backyard or another bathroom somewhere else in the house. I had better have shut off the water to that toilet, or else I'm going to be geysered in, it would be clean water, but it would still be a geyser. All of the dirty water in the toilet bowl would go all over the floor. So then I would have to shut off the water, or I would have to find a way to turn it into an attractive theme park in my bathroom. And then after shutting off the water, after taking care of the toilet bowl water, I would have to find a replacement. I would have to remove the pieces. It's a whole lot of work that's not just actual, like, moving in a toilet, installing it. How does the contingency work? How do you actually get started on this? How do you do the entire project? Okay? A good engineer who is a good manager can see the start of the project to the end of the project. And they understand their requirements, they understand the needs, they understand the measures of quality, the constraints, they understand every piece of what is required for them to start here and end here. Okay? Where a lot of project management isn't even about design work. It's about how do you communicate your results? How do you move forward? How do you adjust? How do you find people? So textbook on I'll look it up. I just had this open and I decided to close my textbook for fun reasons. Page 86 to 87 provides this really fun diagram that goes over 2 pages. Okay, and this really fun diagram that goes over 2 pages talks about all of the steps that are required for a general design. Now this tends to be a very it's general. So all of the process that's involved, well, it starts with project definition, then product definition, conceptual design, product development, and product support. Okay, and it's at every step of the process, what all needs to be done, what kind of approvals are needed to be necessary, what kind of decisions need to be made. It's a very involved process. The idea of project management is that you need to know what all needs to be done in order to what's going to cancel a project, what's going to start the project, what's going to cause the project to grow. Okay, so what is project management? After that giant lengthy tirade, project management is all the steps needed to ensure the successful outcome of a project. Okay? Well, what is a successful outcome? There are multiple definitions of successful outcomes. There is not one right answer for a successful outcome. When Apple decided to build a smartphone, there was not exactly one smartphone that they could develop. They had a concept, they had an idea, they went with it, they moved forward with it. It involved a lot of scientific research, it involved a lot of of development processes, it involved a lot of critical thinking and thinking outside the box and thinking of brand new things. But the successful outcome that they were aiming towards, they didn't exactly know what it was. And they certainly didn't know what it was when they started doing the project management for the project. So a lot of the misconception that engineers have are that when you start a project, you need to know what the end result is. At the end of the day, yes, you need to know what the end result is. But at the beginning of the day, you need to know what does it mean to be successful, okay? We talked about how in any design problem, you have to understand measures of quality, constraints, functional requirements. You need to know those in order to understand the problem. Well, here, you need to understand teams, to understand project management. That has nothing to do with functional requirements or constraints of a design. It has everything to do with who's going to be working for you. You need to know communication. You need to know who is going to be managing the team. You need to know the team roles. You need to know, if you go through this entire list, you need to have an estimate of how much money this is going to cost. You're going to need to know what all tasks are going to have to be executed and in what order. You need to know ultimately whether or not you have the approval to move forward with this plan. So this is a very very interesting process. Okay, the idea of project management in today's world is if you don't know how to do project management, you're going to struggle in any project. We do a lot of project management here at Doan. It's not just a process where you do it once or you take a test on it. You have to execute it. Like I said, Project 2, you're going to have to be doing project management. We're going to have to do the entire process. It's going to take us longer than Project 1 did. Project 1, we're doing in approximately a month and a half. Project 2, we're doing for the rest of the semester. But we're going to be doing proper project management as a part of it. And it does involve a lot more work. And it involves a lot more work that has nothing to do with engineering. But it has everything to do with engineering because engineering has to be deliberate. You can't do engineering and just be like, well, I'm going to go out tomorrow. I'm going to just jump on my horse and I'm going to design a brand new saddle. Done. I'll catch you in the morning. That's not what engineering is. Engineering is a lot of project management. It's a lot of effort put towards project management. Okay? So, in project management, in order to ensure a successful outcome, you have to allocate the following resources. One, people. Who's going to work with you? How much of their time do you consume? How much are you going to pay them? How much are those people going to cost? 2, materials. What kind of stuff are you going to have to buy, like raw materials, in order to work on this project? Okay, if you're doing a bathroom install, how much does a toilet cost? How much does piping cost? How much are you gonna need to buy a new sink? Are you gonna need to put up new wallpaper? Are you gonna need to put in a new shower stall? Are you gonna put in one of those upright bath stalls that that elderly people use when they struggle to get into the bathtub? What all are you going to put in as a part of this? What all materials are you going to need? Okay, and you need to know where you're getting them, who's going to supply them, how you're going to order them. You need to know they exist. Putting a teleporter as one of your materials probably is not the best idea. They are fresh out of stock on Amazon. I just checked this morning. Okay, you need to understand people. You need to understand materials. You need to understand your space. Where is this project going to occur? How much space is this project going to require? How much dedicated space is this project going to need? Are you going to have a room somewhere that is completely dedicated to this project? Do you need a warehouse because you're going to be manufacturing something? Do you just need a small, tiny computer that you can carry anywhere? Because maybe this is a software design issue where you can do it entirely online. Are you going to need virtual spaces to meet? Are you going to need a Google Drive? Are you going to need, how much space, virtual, data, computer, physical, how much space do you need to do your project? Okay. And you have to know that before you even start the project. Now, that's not to say that this can't change. But if you really understand where the project is going, you need to know how much space you're going to use. Okay? How much money do you have available? If your budget is $2,000, you are probably not looking at paying most of your employees, particularly if they're engineers. Then you're working on volunteered time. If your budget is $2 million, you're probably going to be paying people, you're going to be allocating money into materials, space, you may be paying for a room to be operational, you may be renting space. Okay? It's not just enough to have materials. You have to have tooling and equipment. This may be sensors. This may be machines. This could be, it could be a lot of things. This could be software. I should say software in here too. This could be a lot of things. This is support materials. These are tools that you need to accomplish the task. And you need to know, do you have them? Do you have sufficient tools to go accomplish this task? If not, where are you going to get them? Are you going to rent them from somebody? Are you going to loan them from somebody? Are you going to purchase them from someone? Are they available locally? Is this a one-of-a-kind tool that you need? So project management, you have to know a lot of what's coming before you can even start on a project. This is before you can even start on a project. You have to allocate all of these, okay? So in order to be successful, you need to have people who work with you. You're going to need to acquire some amount of materials. You're going to need to have space to work on it with because we are three-dimensional objects. You're going to need available funds. You're going to need something to fund this. And you're going to need appropriate tools, software, equipment, anything that's needed to accomplish this. This may be a vehicle. You may need multiple vehicles in order to accomplish. You may need a crane. You may need a bulldozer. You could need a lot of different stuff when it comes to this, okay? But when you do proper project management, you need to have allocated, before you start, you need to have an idea of how you are going to use the 5 following things, okay? So that's important. Now, when you start with project management, I like the way that the book lays it out. You start with project definition. Okay? In the project definition phase, what you're doing is you're defining who the client is, you're allocating all of these resources, you're coming up with estimates for costs, you're coming up with estimates for, because there's a cost associated with each one of these, total amount of resources used for each one of these. You're estimating that, okay? And that all kind of goes into your project definition because you're just coming up with a kind of a feasibility statement. Boy, my camera loves going fuzzy. I need to fix the settings on that thing. I need to understand a camera. Okay, once you understand your project and how it's going to flow, this is really where you get into product design. Okay, this is where you apply your constraints, measures of quality, you do your market research, you do your prototyping, you work on that, leads to conceptual design, which is a result of your ideation and your realization phases. You then go through your analysis your evaluation of this, you patent anything, you take any necessary intellectual property pieces, and then you work into development, okay? Once you have an idea and once you've verified the validity of that idea, you then move forward into how do you then produce this and how do you turn it into a usable product. Okay, an idea itself isn't usable. A prototype isn't itself usable, although in theory it is. But you're not going to hand a prototype to somebody and be like, here you go, this is my prototype device, go ahead and use it. Everybody's going to be using this. That's not how it works. Hold on, I'm going to blur out for a second. Oh, it doesn't like when I step off camera. It loses focus when I'm not here. It's okay, Cammy. Okay. Then lastly, you got to understand how it's going to be supported. Okay. And some of that does involve understanding end of life, understanding ultimately what's going on. If you have a good idea of how each of these are going to occur, okay, and then you will have a good idea of what the total project management comes up with, okay? And this is where we bring out the concept of the Gantt chart, okay? You will be expected to produce a Gantt chart for project 2. A Gantt chart. And I'll show you an example of a Gantt chart when we get there. But how you look at your project before you get started, the vision you have moving forward, is not seeing necessarily what the end product is. It's seeing the process of how to get to the end product and the resources you expect to use in that process. A Gantt chart helps with that because you have to understand the tasks involved. Okay? You have to understand the tasks that are needed to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to do. Okay? Here, in your project definition, tasks involve a lot of doing research on cost estimates, gathering quotes, gathering resumes, looking at hiring people, okay, moving to product design, market research. You're looking at specific scientific advancements, R&D efforts, working with teams, etc. Conceptual design. Here now you're prototyping, you've got lab equipment, you may be sending this off for somebody to evaluate, you may be putting this into accredited testing agencies and how they handle it. You're then working at development, and then it's how do you take all of these things and put it into a working process. You're creating manufacturing plans, you're coming up with allocating manufacturing resource space, or you're providing documents to a contractor for a contractor to do it. And then lastly, support. Is your company going to be the one that calls when these things fall apart? You know, do you have a plan for the end of life of your product? Do you recommend them? Do you have an owner's manual that you're providing along with it? Do you have a full set of plans? Is this something that's been vetted through the government or through necessary regulating bodies? It's all of that, and each one of those is a task, and in each of those tasks are subtasks, and in each of those subtasks are multiple subtasks. Okay, and so what you end up doing is you say, okay, I'll give an example. Let's say we are going to be me and a couple people in class. We're going to be building a workshop. Okay, so to start building a workshop, okay, first thing you need to do, phase 1. Okay, this is project definition. Okay. Then we got our phase 2. And this will be our product design. Phase 3. Conceptual design, and I'm going to fill in some bullet points in here. I just don't know how many I'm going to put in yet. Phase 4. Development. And then 5. Support. Okay, so those are my different project phases. Okay, generally phase 1 has to be completed before phase 2, before phase 3. This is the general process. I kind of given it to you. That's how a project usually works. Okay, so starting out with project definition, first thing is we're going to be gathering funds. This may involve going to a bank. It may involve talking to donors. It may involve a number of different things. And let's say we're going to start this month. I'm going to erase this so that I can have a little bit more space. Okay, let's say we're going to try to aim to be done by October. Okay, gathering funds is probably the first one. Getting quotes. So we're going to need to know how much this is going to cost. Contacting different vendors. Contacting individuals on how much materials cost. If we're going to design this and build this ourselves, are we going to be looking for somebody else to build this? This is going to be a prefabricated structure. What kind of equipment are we looking at? What kind of money is that equipment? A lot of equipment research. All of that. Okay, and we already have our team because it's just going to be a couple of us together and maybe some contractors we hire, but generally we have 3 things. We're going to start by gathering funds. We'll probably say that we'll be looking at funds for 2 months. In that process, we're going to be continuing to get quotes and do equipment research probably into April. Okay, we're going to spend a lot of time looking at ideas and coming up with what we could put in there, doing background research on what kind of existing workshops look like. Okay, well, then once we're done with phase 1, we'll move into phase 2. In phase 2, we'll come up with develop concepts. Okay, maybe we will meet with, I don't know, we'll meet with somebody who owns a big workshop, and they will give us some guidance. And so as a result, we're getting a consultant. Okay, and so we're working with a consultant. So we'll start maybe after getting the funds. We'll come up with 2 months worth of ideas. Nah, we're only going to do it for a month. Wow, we missed May. Oops. Apparently we don't work in May. May's a dead month. Okay, we'll get a consultant involved, and they will probably give us advice long beyond we have. That will probably get more concrete quotes, but ultimately look at what we need. So maybe do some market research, talk to the people who are going to be using this workshop. So we'll take some surveys. Okay, and we'll do surveys about the same time here. Maybe the surveys will go into June also. Okay, then we come up with concept designs. This is where we draw AutoCAD drawings. Okay, we develop a full set of AutoCAD drawings. And we'll say that that starts the moment our surveys end, and we'll probably go for 2 months. Okay, then as we continue to work on AutoCAD drawings, other things that we're going to be doing at the same time is find suitable sites, and this may involve surveying. This may involve going out and looking at locations, probably purchasing a place. We'll start doing that probably in August. We'll hope to have that done. A development phase, this is where we're going to hire a contractor to build it. And and then the contractor will do general building, electrical work, probably do some landscaping work, all of that. So we'll just get the contractor to do all of that, and we'll say that'll happen from September to October. And then support. While the contractor is building this, we can be coming up with safety plans. Usage plans, talking about, how are you gonna handle an earthquake or a tornado or something. And we can actually be working on this at the same time as the contractor and be done at the same time. So here, this is what our Gantt chart would look like. And here, this is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. Okay, and now you have a visual representation of how much approximate time each one of these subtasks inside of our phases are going to be able to take. Now, each one of these is going to involve a ton of different individual steps that we can allocate directly to people. But when we're looking at it, are we on track to be done gathering funds by X date? And that's what the use of a Gantt chart is. It's very visual, it is, but it's a nice way to organize your project, build out what tasks all need to be done and when they need to be done by. And that's one of the ways that a Gantt chart's very helpful. So, again, a Gantt chart is always needed in a proposal. We're not going to be talking about proposals for a few weeks, but this is what's needed to start the planning process for how do we get started working on a brand new project. How do we organize ourselves so that we can appropriately move forward? Okay, well, that's all for this week. Next week we're going to get into a lot more depth on the design process. You will have some quiz material due next week that's on Gantt charts and project management as a whole. So do expect that. You may need to watch this video a few times. I might include pepper in a little bit of content from the book, just to make sure that you're reading the book and that you understand that material. The next 2 lectures I'm going to post are specifically on AutoCAD. So I guess I will see you when I see you next. But yeah, it's AutoCAD time.